Thank you, Councilman. So, Ms. Williams, will you read, are there any others to testify on the resolution or comment on the resolution? No? Seeing none, can you read the first panel of witnesses to testify, Ms. Williams?
Kevin McPhillips, James Steiker, and William Stockwell.
Again, welcome to City Council. Please have a seat at the witness table. Just remember, when you begin your testimony, state your name for the record.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having us. My name is Kevin McPhillips, and I'm the Executive Director and CEO of a relatively new nonprofit organization called the Pennsylvania Center for Employee Ownership. We exist for one purpose: to raise awareness about a remarkable program that dramatically improves the lives of citizens in Philadelphia, throughout the Commonwealth, and the nation as a whole. It's called Employee Ownership, and in specific, the Employee Stock Ownership Plan, or ESOP. We're here today because we want to ask you to allow us to help you and the City of Philadelphia. I'd like to begin by thanking the distinguished members of Council for the opportunity to share a few thoughts, and I'd like to especially commend Councilman-at-Large Derek Green and his staff for taking the critically important step that you've done today to improve lives and decrease the wealth gap that is strangling so many of our citizens today. Employee ownership can help to do that. I'd like to take just a moment for a personal note. I grew up in Northeast Philadelphia, and I'm proud to say that my father was a dedicated member and leader in city government for over 25 years. The city and its many extraordinary offerings were centrally important to my family and to myself, and that's why we're here today. It's within that context that I'd like to share a couple stories. In 2002, a man with a successful distribution company in the small town of Sealands Grove, Pennsylvania, turned 75. It was time to sell his business and spend more time with his wife and his family. He had 40 employees, and he considered them family as well. Unfortunately, as they were in a remote location, all offers to purchase the business included moving it away and laying off 40 people. He couldn't do that. These were his neighbors. Instead, he learned about a plan that would work. He sold the business for the same amount of money offered to his employees. His employees paid nothing. Fast forward 15 years to today, the business has over 200 employees, and all 40 of the original employees have more than enough funds to retire today, some with 7 figures. That's warehouse workers, truck drivers, laborers, office assistants, as well as management. In a Forbes magazine story last year, it was related that 2 twin sisters graduated school in Oregon and went to work at a fast food establishment. After 1 year, they received a 5-cent raise. They knew that was not sustainable, so they went to a local grocery store called Winco. Winco is kind of like an Aldi on the West Coast, seeking employment. The grocery chain was an employee-owned company, but they only had 1 opening. So one sister took a job there, stocking shelves, and another sister took an administrative job at a law firm. Both worked hard and both prospered. Fast forward 23 years. The sister at the law firm regularly contributed to her 401k program, and by the age of 43, had almost $70,000 saved. Very good for someone at such a young age. The sister at the grocery store, which was employee-owned, did not participate in their 401k plan, but rather did have an ESOP account. At the age of 43, still stocking shelves overnight, she had just over $1 million in her account and had contributed none of her own money. So what is this program? Well, in 1974, Congress passed a law that is part of ERISA, the Employee Retirement Income Security Act. The law says that an owner can sell some or all of their business, 10%, 20%, 49%, or even 100% to their employees. The employees pay nothing. Rather, the business takes on a note, a mortgage if you will, to pay off the owner over time. The federal government and the state of Pennsylvania turned around and say, look, if you do this and you meet certain business requirements, you never have to pay taxes again on your profits for whatever portion is owned by the employees. The tax savings served to pay off the mortgage. Once paid, those funds can be used for any number of things, most particularly growth. Some of the successful companies right here in Philadelphia that are employee-owned include Pannoni Associates, many of whom are here today, the Graham Company, also here today, McKean Defense, down at the Navy Yard, Urban Engineers, Cardone, Transamerican Office Furniture, Almo Corp., and Crown Cork and Seal. Yet in all of Philadelphia, there are less than 2 dozen in total. Other recognizable employee-owned companies include Wawa, Sheetz, which is the sort of the Wawa of the Western PA, the Dansko Shoe Company in Westchester, or Chester County, Bradford White Water Heaters, right in Montgomery County, New Belgium Beer, King Arthur Flour, and Publix, the largest grocery store chain in the nation. And yet, very few people know about ESOPs, and even fewer of them understand it. In private industry, the days of real pensions are largely over. As the baby boomers age, we're on the cusp of a silver tsunami. It's estimated that 4.5 million companies will transact over the next 10 years, 4.5 million. And yet, 30% of business owners over the age of 55 have no succession plan, none. Worse yet, 30% of employees over the age of 55 have zero retirement savings, none. And fully 60% of American workers over 55 have less than $50,000. So what's going to become of our citizens? What's the future of Social Security? How will they be cared for, and who's going to pay for it? Employee ownership offers a stark contrast. Based on a recent report from the Report on Economic Well-Being by the nonprofit National Center for Employee Ownership out of Oakland, employee owners have 30% higher wages than non-employee owners. On average, 2.5 times higher retirement, 5 times longer job tenure, and are 92% less likely to be laid off. Those numbers, Council Member, are exaggerated within women and minority populations. Today, you're going to hear from a recognized national legal expert, my colleague James Steiker, on the community value of employee ownership. We're going to hear from a fourth-generation Philadelphia company CEO, Mr. William Stockwell, who chose to keep his company here in Philadelphia. And most importantly, you're going to hear from the company employees whose lives have been changed forever. Members of Council, here's what employee ownership can do for the city of Philadelphia. It will keep jobs and companies here. ESOP companies are, on average, much more productive. Surprise, surprise. That means job growth. Job growth means an increase in the tax base. Employee ownership will contribute to retirement and correcting wealth disparity, and it will not cost